Ma You may take your seats. My name is Jonathan L. Walton, the Plummer Professor of Christian Morals and Pusey Minister here in the Memorial Church of Harvard University. And I would like to welcome you all into this space of grace at the center of the campus. A space of grace committed to the pursuit of veritas and caritas, truth and love, the expansion of knowledge, and a commitment to service. We come here today to celebrate the incredible graduating class of 2018. Job well done. Nevertheless, we understand that no man and no woman is an island unto themselves. Families, friends, and faith communities have invested in you materially, inspired you intellectually, and enriched you spiritually. We are all here because of someone else's sacrifices. In fact, this is the history of the Memorial Church. This building was dedicated on Armistice Day, 1932, and to honor the women of Radcliffe and men of Harvard College who lost their lives in the Great War. Since that time, unfortunately, the list has grown. We now recognize the names of men and women who paid the ultimate price in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. You will notice two divinity school names on the wall over here to my left and to your right. Two divinity school students. Edgar Raymond Atterbury graduated from Harvard Divinity School in 1925. Atterbury was called to active duty in 1940 while serving as the pastor of Grace Methodist Church in Seattle, Washington. The other is Adolf Sonnwald. He studied at HDS from 1924 and 1925, that academic year, and was a member of the German Army during World War II. This is why you will see enemy casualty etched under his name. Further research in recent years paints a different picture of Sonnwald, however. This Lutheran pastor was far from a Nazi. In 1934, he published an article that denounced Nazism's view of racial supremacy. Sonnwald was affiliated with the Confessing Church and protested Hitler's Third Reich. When the German army drafted Sonnwald in 1942, military brass would not allow him to serve as a chaplain due to his sermons that were critical of the Nazi regime. The German army placed Sonnwald on the front lines, and within months he was killed in an airstrike. I share this with you as guests here at the Memorial Church for two reasons. First, the Memorial Church stands as a testament of service and sacrifice. We are all called to a cause greater than ourselves. And second, like Adolf Sonnwald, the presumed enemy combatant, we should never assume that our service will come with accolades and awards. Some may even label you an enemy combatant. But in the words of Zora Neale Hurston, if you want that good feeling that comes from doing good things for other people, then sometimes you have to pay for it with abuse and misunderstanding. Welcome to the Memorial Church. Congratulations, class of 2018. May you be inspired by this space, just as we are inspired by all of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm in an emotional state. I come from a family of Scottish bagpipers, and I spent more hours than I can easily remember walking up and down Irish country lanes, listening to bagpipe music, listening to that very tune, actually, the Rowan Tree. So I am grateful to have it played. That is the toughest musical instrument in the world to play. Kind of squeeze and blow and move your fingers. Anyway, get on with it. On behalf of the whole HDS faculty, it's my great pleasure to welcome all our graduating students and their families and friends to this service of celebration and thanksgiving. Many of you have traveled from all over the United States and from distant parts of the world to be with us, and we're grateful. Next to the royal wedding, this is the most difficult social event to get a ticket for in 2018. And given Harvard's tuition rates, probably the most expensive. Even George Clooney and Oprah Winfrey could not afford to be here, though they tried. Please allow me to be the first to congratulate this amazingly talented and passionate class of 2018. We, your faculty members, are very proud of you and all that you've accomplished during your years with us, and we very much look forward to watching and benefiting from the work you will do in the world when you leave us. You will join a distinguished cast of HDS alums who have made a difference in the world of scholarship, ministry, and vocational service. Following the conferral of degrees by Harvard University's President Drew Faust, for the last time, Drew Faust will do this, out here in Tercentenary Theatre tomorrow morning, we'll gather again under the tent on the Harvard Divinity School campus green tomorrow afternoon to award your diplomas. But before all that happens, we are gathering with you this afternoon for this one last service of reflection, celebration, and above all, thanksgiving, and one last address from one of our own faculty, Professor Laura Nasrallah, Professor of New Testament and Early Christianity. I've been asked to be very brief because we have a wonderful program this afternoon, and no one can tolerate this accent for very long. So I will keep my remarks short. Two very different events dominated the news last weekend. The first was the royal wedding, in which an English prince and a biracial American woman together constructed a religious service that blew away the cobwebs of Anglican ceremonialism and began, hopefully, the slow decolonization of even the British monarchy. Taking his cue from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Bishop Michael Curry, in only 13 minutes, celebrated the redemptive power of love to change the world in a way that even the most cynical commentators could not trivialize as either naive or sentimental. The other event that dominated the news, the Santa Fe school shooting, had nothing to do with love. Only a few weeks before, I attended the premiere in New York City of a film which our school supported called Notes from Dunblane. It tells the story of two humble parish priests whose respective communities, Dunblane in Scotland and Newtown, Connecticut, suffered mass school shootings of little children. They forged a close bond of personal love in the midst of unimaginable grief and suffering in their communities. I met the two priests along with with parents and children who had been closely touched by school shootings and gun violence, including the students from what was then the most recent school shooting in Parkland in Florida. It was a powerful gathering of committed people determined to make their school shooting the last one. But no one believed it would be, and they were right. There have been 288 school shootings in the United States since 2009. But interestingly, none in Britain since guns were banned after Dunblane in 1996. I recount this event not to dampen a festive occasion, but to remind us that after the last champagne cork pops tomorrow, and our brilliant graduating class of 2018 goes out to make a difference in the world, that we all have work to do in a country of mass shootings, mass incarceration, and mass indifference to injustice in its many forms. So two news items, both real and somehow symbolic, one featuring the power of love, the other the destructive power of hatred and violence. For each event, people gathered in religious settings to celebrate or to grieve. Today, it is our turn to celebrate, which we do very well, but we also know that there will be a tomorrow, when much will be asked of us. And I know this class of 2018 will step up in ways we cannot even imagine. I hope we can keep up with you. But for now, I'm delighted that in true HDS fashion, we're coming together today across the many spiritual and religious traditions represented in this graduating class. This service will not look like any liturgy or ritual that many of you have ever experienced before, so prepare yourself. Rather, it will look and feel like the class that is before us today, varied, eclectic, vibrant, talented, passionate, and even a little edgy. So thanks to all of you for helping us to begin our commencement exercises together in a spirit of gratitude, joy, and unity. After the service here today, we gather, and after the class photo on the steps outside the building, we'll continue this celebration with a reception and communal gathering under the tent on the HDS campus green. So we hope you all will join us there for some drinks, appetizers, and good conversation. Everyone is welcome. So, congratulations, class of 2018. Thanks to all of you who have loved and supported them all of their lives. Please enjoy this, our multi-religious service of Thanksgiving. We're very grateful to everyone who has contributed their time and their talent to make this a very special occasion. Thank you.
ای دل آن دم که خراب از می گلگون باشی، بی زر و گنج، بی زر و گنج، به صد حشمت قارون باشی یارا. در ره منزل لیلی، در ره منزل لیلی که خطرهاست در آن، شرط اول قدم آن است که مجنون باشی یارا. کاروان رفت و تو در خواب و بیابان در پیش، کاروان رفت و تو در خواب و بیابان در پیش، کی روی رهزه که پرسی، چه کنی چون باشی ساغری نوش کن و ساغری نوش کن و جرعه بر افلاک فشان، چند و چند، چند و چند از غم ایام جگر خون باشی ای عزیز.
What would love say? Love would say, open yourself as the prayer. Love would say, breathe. Breathe and lean intimately towards the temple of your own heart. Breathe directly into your heart, imagining that within each breath, your heart opens, petal by petal by petal, like a beautiful rose unfurling in the soft morning light. Feel the rainbow dewdrops on the petals of your own tender and loving heart. As your heart opens with each breath, start to see the golden light begin to shine in the very center of your heart. Feel and see your heart filling with delicious, warm, golden light. Focus your breath here, and as you do, feel your heart begin to spill over with this light. Feel this light as it begins to stream through your body. Let your being become the living prayer.
Adonai Malach Geut Laveh Lavesh Adonai Oz Hitazar Aftikon Tevel Baal Timot Nachon Kisachar Meaz Me'olam Atah Nasu Naharot Adonai Nasu Narot Kolam Nasu Naharot Dachyam Mikolot Maim Rabim Adirim Mishbereyam Adir B'marom Adonai Eidotecha Nemnu meod Leveitcha Nava Kodesh Adonai Leorech Yamim Nai 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 Na 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 Nai 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 Na 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 Nai 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 na 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 Nai 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 Na 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 Nai 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 Nai.
Yah reigns, clothed in majesty. Clothed is Yah, girded with strength. The world is fixed, it cannot waver. Since eternity, your throne is set. You are everlasting. The rivers have risen, Yah. The rivers raise their voices. The rivers rise roaring. Beyond the voices of the many waters that shatter mightily in the sea, mighty on high is Yah. Your testimony is abundantly firm. Holiness befits your home. Yah, forevermore.
I am the gracious goddess who gives the gift of joy unto the heart. Upon earth, I give the knowledge of the Spirit eternal. And beyond death, I give peace and freedom. Nor do I demand sacrifice, for behold, I am the mother of all living, and my love is poured out upon the earth. Hear ye the words of the star goddess, she in the dust of whose feet are the hosts of heaven, whose body encircles the universe. I, who am the beauty of the green earth, and the white moon among the stars, and the mystery of the waters, and the heart's desire, call unto thy soul. Let my worship be within the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. And therefore, let there be beauty and strength, power and compassion, honor and humility, mirth and reverence within you.
The springing of the yellow line of morning out of the misty deep of dawn is glory enough for me. I know that nothing is destructible. Things merely change forms. When the consciousness we know as life ceases, I know that I shall still be part and parcel of the world. I was a part before the sun rolled into shape and burst forth in the glory of change. I was when the earth was hurled out from its fiery rim. I shall return with the earth to Father's Son and still exist in substance when the sun has lost its fire and disintegrated into infinity to perhaps become a part of the whirling rubble of space. Why fear? The stuff of my being is matter, ever changing, ever moving, but never lost. So what need of denominations and creeds to deny myself the comfort of all my fellow men? The wide belt of the universe has no need for finger rings. I am one with the infinite and need no other assurance.
There are seasons and cycles in our lives, just as there are seasons and cycles to nature. We honor the seasons of nature. We wouldn't think of pulling at the tiny blades of grass in early spring to force their growth. Neither would we chastise them for growing too slowly. We can learn to recognize and honor the seasons in ourselves. The answers will come, small glimpses at first, like the tender shoots of grass. Then a series of experiences. Sometimes we immediately see the connection, sometimes we don't. We go about the business of living our lives. Then one day we see that tiny shoot of grass has become a rolling lawn covering the landscape. We're different, we're changed, a new season has arrived. And just when we think that the way it is now is the way it will be forever, another season begins. It too will build on what has already happened and create something new. There are seasons and cycles in us, just as there are in nature. Learn to recognize and honor the seasons and cycles in your life.
speak, she'd tell of places you have been. And she lives in my dreams, and she knows all the ways of the wind. Polly, come home again. Spread your wings to the wind. And I felt much of the pain as it begins. And dreams cover much time, still they leave blind the will to begin. And I searched for you there, and now I search for you from within. Polly, come home again. Spread your wings to the wind. And I felt much of the pain as it begins. Polly, come home again. Spread your wings to the wind. And I felt much of the pain as it begins.
The fire that burns him burns in my body. And the world around me burns with the same fire that burns my brother. He burns. His figure dominates the mountain, and the giant torch of his body fills the jungle. Oh, my brother, let me kneel upon the precious ashes of your fresh flesh and bones. Let me summon your young spirit from the shadows and give it life in the form of a flower, the first lotus of the season, before anyone has picked it, the first new bloom before the sun goes down. I hear you now. The storm screams with your cries. Hearing you, each cell in me, oh my brother, brims with tears. I still hear you, your appeal from heaven or hell, and I turn to you wherever you are. For a moment, the world's heart stops, while earth looks at sky and each one asks, where is high and where is low? Your name in the blinking stars has been inscribed in space. The fire that burns your body burns my flesh with such pain that all my tears are not enough to cool your sacred soul. Deeply wounded, I remain here, keeping your hopes and promises for the young. I will not betray you. Are you listening?
I remain here because your very heart is now my own.
I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love.
This hymn is a hymn that has been sung in many Black churches since the late 1860s. When critics asked why people want to sing about a Jesus that passes them by, other critics explained that when you are of oppressed or marginalized or minoritized identity and you live in a world that so often passes you by, it is important to sing and to remember, Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. Please don't pass me by. Pass me not, O gentle Savior. Savior, Spirit, save me by thy grace. Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on earth thou art calling, do not pass me by. Thou, the spring of all my comfort, more than life to me. Whom have I on earth beside thee? Whom in heaven but thee? Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on earth thou art calling, do not pass me by.
How great reason have we to rejoice? For could we have supposed that God would have granted unto us such great blessings? Blessed be the name of our God. Let us sing to his praise. Let us give thanks to his holy name. My heart is brim with joy, and I will rejoice in my God. In his strength I can do all things. Who can glory too much in the Lord? Who can say too much of his great power and his mercy and his long suffering? He has all power, all wisdom, and all understanding. This is my life and my light, my joy and my salvation and my redemption. Blessed is the name of my God, who has been mindful of us, wanderers in a strange land. We see that God is mindful over all, every people, whatsoever land they may be in. His bowels of mercy are over all the earth. This is my joy and my great thanksgiving. I will give thanks unto my God forever. Amen.
I find them everywhere, pieces and particles of gods, even whole gods, examined, collected, and eventually stuffed back in my closet. Some of them I've had for years, hand-me-down heirlooms I may have outgrown but can't bear to give away. Some I save for special occasions. The God that sustains through funerals, the God of family get-togethers. I am in awe of the God of nature and mystified by the God of time. Amidst my menagerie, there is one God that appears most often. This is the God of questions, the God of human longing. Inevitably, this God arrives just as I've begun to sink back into my easy chair and knocks me into the world of the living. For I have done more than wear my gods on the outside. I have also swallowed them like a holy wafer and made them part of myself. I have begun to echo in the still small miracle of my voice, in my questions, in my searching, and in my longing for the discovery of life and all its gods.
Reverend Professor Walton, my brother, hardworking Dean Hempton, my lovely colleagues, wonderful parents and children and partners and friends of our great graduates, and fabulous class of 2018, welcome. Class of 2018, congratulations. MDivs, all joy. MTSs, all joy. R1 THM, all joy. THDs, all joy. This late afternoon, we're gathered to celebrate you. We're here to celebrate with this great cloud of witnesses, and to celebrate these witnesses, your parents and partners, your children and your families of birth and of choice, your friends. Thank you all for lending us our marvelous students. Thank you for the support you offered through crises of confidence, through their exhaustion at late-night writing sessions, for the food provided, for the laundry done, for the proofreading, for loving them to this place, for encouraging or at least allowing them to pursue a degree in divinity, despite perhaps wondering where it would take them. One of our students described his experience at his field education site of standing at a threshold, waiting for the children of the church to come to him for a lesson. He told me, waiting is a kind of love. I am such an impatient person, and he taught me that. Waiting is a kind of love. And you have waited for our dear graduates, sometimes waited on them, but definitely waited for them, through the long nights, the occasional long silences as they labored on their education. We thank you for your love, and we applaud you. And to our dear graduates, you have come to us from California and from Indonesia, from Utah and China, from Korea and Texas and Scotland. Some of you are veterans. Some of you are already ordained. Some of you have worked at a funeral home. Others have been teachers. Some have even worked in investment banking. You've come to us bearing knowledge and experience and your own beautiful selves, queer and not, trans and more, of many colors, of many religions, of no religion at all. You've honored us with your presence, and you've taught us and each other. From those who entered in 2015 or 2016 or in an unnamed year earlier than that, our long-suffering doctoral students, we have been together through a few hard years. You've taught us, the faculty and staff, to ask questions about justice, about citizenship and belonging, about grief and anger and hope at this moment in our nation and the world, about bringing new kinds of knowledge and experience into the classroom. Thank you for the time you've given us, for the portion of your lives you've shared. 1 year, 2 years, 3, and from our doctoral students, a few more. Your sweet labors, which have added so much to our lives, your children whom we've celebrated, and your publications that we've admired. And we will be part of your lives forever, not only intellectually or in your memories or in your networks or your friendship, but in the databases of alumni affairs. They will pursue you wherever you go. I'm an alum, and I can promise you they still send me news. Once I got an email on the topic of changing careers. It worried me deeply. Was it a sly joke from a colleague or a hint from my dean? From convocation to your commencement tomorrow, from theories and methods in the study of religion class to today, you've come very far. From that moment when someone who would later become your friend did a lot of posing in section about knowing Judith Butler's theory, or maybe did know it. From that moment in the library when someone got all Foucauldian on you. It has been a late night, bleary-eyed, early morning, exciting journey. Speaking of theories and methods, today I want to talk with you briefly about the joy of saying I don't know. This is not to celebrate ignorance. There's enough anti-intellectualism out there, enough fake news, enough of a feeling that you can wing it without considering history or data, without thinking about the root causes and ongoing effects of racism, sexism, economic injustice. This afternoon, I'm not asking you to celebrate not knowing or ignorance. I'm asking you to celebrate that wide open, slightly terrifying feeling of saying, I don't know. Sometimes we're not good at that at Harvard. We learn to protect our flanks early, perhaps as early as that first theory and method class. We learn to nod sagely as we think Durkheim might have. We learn to say Akedah with Professor Levinson, and Fiqh with Professor Johansson, and Modu Modu with Professor Khan, and Drendrel with Professor Gyatso, and Basilea with Professor Batsana, or Vasilea if you're doing modern Greek. And we work on getting the pronunciation right. Early in the semester, we learned to look up what we didn't know and cover for ourselves quickly. But after those first few weeks of intimidation, and they happened to faculty as well as to students, I want you to know, I think we learned to soften a bit, and we ease into the fact, I don't know. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here. And the best experiences at HDS are perhaps those in which we don't even need to admit that we don't know. Face to face, on the couches outside of the library, we ask a question of someone whose viewpoint and life experience are utterly unlike our own. What do you think? Or alone at our desks, reading some ancient text, we puzzle away considering, I don't know what I think about that. I don't know what that city looked like, how the temples smelled, how the hymns resounded, but I can learn more. Not to get all Socratic on you, but to admit that you don't know can be the greatest wisdom. There's a saying of Jesus that I really like, which comes from the Gospel of Thomas. Jesus says, "Let one who seeks not stop seeking until one finds. When one finds, one will be disturbed. When one is disturbed, one will marvel and reign over all." It's a kind of map, a pattern for our time here. We came here seeking. Maybe by the end of theory and methods, or at least the end of the first year, we thought we'd found something. And then we were disturbed. Disturbed because of the political situation, disturbed because of our exhaustion during reading period, disturbed because of a challenging conversation with a classmate, disturbed because we wanted more knowledge. We were disturbed and then we marveled, caught in the wonder of learning. The Divinity School is a place to celebrate not knowing. This is not because we don't know anything, but because we know a lot, enough to know that there's so much more to learn. It's a place to celebrate humility. That's not because we're naturally humble as religious people or as those who study religion, but because we've studied and seen enough to know that sometimes you have to fall on your knees in front of something, take off your shoes and say, this is holy ground. This happens not only with divinity, but also with each other. This happens not only with each other, but also as we seek to understand a creation and a cosmos that's groaning in the current crises, awaiting some kind of redemption. Our schools, our universities, our religious institutions, our NGOs are the spaces of utopian work. Some of these institutions are replete with problems of colonialism and wealth and privilege built on the labors of slaves, limned with prejudice. But they can also be the spaces of promise. They have glittering moments of thinking otherwise, of saying, what is that? Of saying, I don't know. I don't understand that. HDS as part of the academy is not separate from the real world. Professor Stephanie Paulsell taught you that early on. We too, of course, are real. We're a pathway, an on-ramp, a laboratory, a place to experiment. At HDS, we're a think tank for possibilities and impossibilities, a place to dream of a just world, a place to consider how to care for creation, a place to work toward coalition and understanding. There have been experiments here. There have even been experiments in this very space of the Memorial Church with our students involved, students who lived long before many of you were born. I'm particularly thinking of an event in November 1971 when Boston College professor Mary Daly was invited to Memorial Church to preach, breaking the long-standing tradition of male speakers. They did not know what they were getting into. Inviting Daly, who taught theology and religion, inviting a revolutionary feminist who humorously, punningly called herself a positively revolting hag. After a sermon titled The Death of God the Father, Daly invited her listeners to affirm their faith by walking out of the church together. A real walkout, a radical move. One Harvard divinity student interviewed afterwards said, "I was going where I've always been. We have not left out of malice or cowardice. In the bonding of sisterhood, we find strength, creativity, and possibility." According to one reporter, our own beloved teacher and colleague, Professor Diana Eck, quote, described walking out of church with Daly and then coming back in for coffee. Professor Eck said, "I'm a liminal person, not in and not out. I wanted to talk with the people who were still inside. The coffee was important." The coffee is important, or the juice and the cookies, even the Tuesday ritual of Dean's tea at HDS. It's very important, not only the nutrition, but also the experience of liminality and community. And we know that the story of Mary Daly didn't end there. 8 years later, after the publication of one of her books, Daly would receive a letter from African-American poet, writer, womanist Audre Lorde. Lorde criticized Daly's work for its limited understanding of and openness to Black women's experience. For all the revolutionary content of Daly's thought, there were still things she didn't know. For all the revolutionary possibilities of our thought, there are still knowledges we need to seek out, still more to be done. Tomorrow you commence, stepping out, I hope, into a lifetime of admitting I don't know. I have some good news and some bad news. The good news, the great news, you'll get a degree tomorrow. Most of you are receiving master's degrees, and even our doctoral students have probably come in with a master's degree and received a master's of philosophy on the way through. The bad news, I'm not sure that the title master applies. The longing that has brought you here has not resulted in mastery. We've been questioning that language. Should we use the term master to describe the heads of houses or colleges at Harvard? How should the term master apply still in this kyriarchal world? I'm using a term from Professor Elizabeth Schussler-Fiorenza's work, a word that indicates the idea that one can master or dominate or own another, an idea that's persisted in various ways and times in the Roman Empire and in antebellum America and beyond. To say I don't know is to reject a false claim of mastery. It's to celebrate ethics. I don't know, and there's more that I need to learn. It's to celebrate curiosity. It's to stretch out longing, yearning for what we don't know and can't even figure out how to capture in language. A kind of apophatic desire. Those of you who have had classes with Professor Stang will understand. I don't know, and I want to learn. I'm still hungry and thirsty for knowledge like a heart longing for streams of water. To say you don't know is to admit that you need the past, that you urgently desire history, that you want the power of the ancestors. To say you don't know is not to be humiliated, but to enter humbly into relation with each other, with the world, with divinity. You've done tremendous things here. We recall your thinking about performativity, ritual, and trauma, your use of queer theory to think about ancient slavery. We remember your work in convening discussions to advance racial justice and healing. We remember your time at a monastery in Japan, or working on a new institute class for the LDS Church, or bringing Latinx voices to the center of conversation, or working or driving a really long way to preach somewhere. We remember your leadership in die-ins, teach-ins, and regular conversations. We remember how you used podcasts, film, storytelling, end-of-term papers to tell your stories and the stories of those about whom you care. We recall your beautiful voices, arguing in the classrooms of Divinity Hall in Andover, translating scriptures, or lifted in song, as we've heard today. We remember your careful papers, rich in footnotes falling into centuries of scholarly conversation. We're proud of you and grateful. We're grateful for the sparks that you carry from our classrooms, from the library, from the cafeteria in Rockefeller Hall, or from lying outside in the grass outside Andover into the world. You justify us. You make us light. You know a lot. You've learned a lot here, and we've learned a lot from you. While among us you sought for knowledge of each other, which is ever incomplete given our precious differences. You continue to seek and to find, yearning in your desire for knowledge, whether of self or of other, or for divinity that's barely glimpsed among the beating wings of cherubim. I hope that your time at HDS has given you a strong spine to face the challenges upon which you commence. I hope it gives you a soft face to enter into further conversation, and every time you write on your resume or CV or say to someone, I have a master's degree from Harvard, maybe pause. Question that idea of mastery. Stretch out towards new knowledges. Continue to say, I don't know. Don't apologize for not knowing. Don't pretend you do know in a world of violent ignorance. May the longing for knowledge that brought you here drive you green and glad through your lives. Seek, find, be disturbed, marvel.
This next song is by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who is an African-American abolitionist, suffragist, poet, and author. In 1894, she helped found the National Association of Colored Women and served as its vice president. She was an active member of both the African Methodist Episcopal and Unitarian Church in Philadelphia and held multiple religious belonging. This song is a poem adapted, and the music is created by Christopher Hosfeld. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing this next song.
Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We are quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We should like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new. And yet, it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, and that it may take a very long time. And so I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them on, as though you could be today what time will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that His hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete.
الدعاء الناصري, the prayer of the oppressed, as recited by the Sufis of Morocco under colonial rule. يا ربي بحبل عصمتك قد اعتصمنا وبعز نصرتك كن لنا ولا تكن علينا ولا تكلنا طرفة إلينا فما أطقنا قوة للدفع ولا استطعنا حيلة للنفع وما قصدنا غير بابك الكريم وما رجونا غير فضلك العميم فما رجت من خيرك الظنون بنفس ما تقول كن يكون يا ربي بك التوصل لما لديك وبك التوسل يا ربي أنت ركننا الرفيع يا ربي أنت حصننا المنيع يا ربي أنلنا الأمن إذا ارتحلنا وإذا أقمنا يا ربي واحفظ زرعنا وضرعنا واحفظ تجارنا ووفر جمعنا واجعل بلادنا بلاد الدين وراحة المحتاج والمسكين بجاه نور وجهك الكريم وجاه سر ملكك العظيم.
O Lord, by holding on to your most gracious rope, we bind it to our faith and knot it to our hope. So stand for us today, don't counter what we try. Forsake us not, O Lord, the blinking of an eye. We seek no good except what flows from your wide door, and earn for grace that comes from your unending more. All thoughts within our hearts will find serenity, through God who fashions all only by saying be. O Lord, by you alone we will achieve our end. By you, through you, your means to you, our only friend. Sustainer of us all, O towering support, our Lord who grants us all defense within his fort. Secure our hearts within your glorious defense, in restless journeys far or in our residence. Protect our herds, preserve our crops, and increase our gains, and give and bless our commerce with approving rains. Fill our land with good prosperity, release our citizens from dire poverty, and by the rank of all the light from this your noble face, and sacred estimation of your vast dominion space. Amen.
My dearest forbidden flowers, let us tell them this: beware, you are right to fear us. We are dangerous. We are revolutionaries. We are healers. We are mums, dads, brothers, sisters, siblings, cousins, lovers, fighters, artists, and visionaries. And our revolution will be the most spectacular glitter bomb you have ever seen. It will be waged alongside warrior women and brazen girls and genderqueer grandparents and sex workers and ancestors and queens and studs and femme scientists and tomboys and crips and butches and faggots and magic makers and peacocks and inventors of unspeakable delight. Our trenches will be lined with fake fuchsia fur. Our guns will shoot silver glitter, and we will conjure storms of diamante studs that will scour the fear from the hearts of the hedgemakers, until there is nothing left except the naked love that held us all in the seeds of our births. And when the storm settles, we will dance until the sun streaks the sky in persimmon orange and crimson red. And so shall our heels till the soil, and so shall our glitter seed the earth. And you had better be ready for the exquisite garden which will stretch all the way to the stars. Yes, yes, this is how it will be, because you, my forbidden flowers, dare to bloom.